Zenless Zone Zero came out during the summer of 24. And now entering into 25, a lot has changed, so it's time to make a new beginner's guide. Hello everybody, my name is Hako and welcome to the channel. This video is for veterans and beginners alike. So maybe your New Year's resolution is to start playing Zenless, and I think that's a great choice. So let me guide you through it. And I think first things first, let's go through your daily routine. We're right now, as time of recording, in patch 1.4, and if you do everything kind of correct in 1.4, you get around 20,000 polychromes, which is the currency we use to make our pools. And anybody that plays gacha games, that's kind of, the fun part about them, right? Right. So let's begin. Your daily routine every day should be opening your video store to be the first one. I've already opened mine, but we get to pick an agent, and we increase the relationship with different agents by hanging out with them. More info on that coming up. So when we open a video store, we choose one promoter. Now, a lot of people just pick someone they like and call it a day. But this actually matters. So one, you always want to pick an S rank promoter because they will give you more stuff, more rewards at the end of the day. Also, what element your S-rank agent is also plays in. Right now, I've picked Bernice because an upcoming character called Evelyn is coming out and she's gonna be fire. And I picked a fire character because at the end of Bernice's shift, she will award me with fire tactical ships. Now, use these tactical ships to level up your skills. And you get more of these ships for an S-rank agent rather than slotting in an A-rank agent like Piper or Lucy, for example. And preferably you want to open your video store as soon as possible because that will allow you to accumulate more Dennis throughout the day. And if you want to max out the 26,000 Dennis per day, you need to kind of open it so that the promoter can work throughout the entire day. Although, that's kind of min-max territory. After that, we want to head out from the video store and we want to go to Howl's newsstand. Now, Howl is the little dog manning this kiosk. We talk to Howl. Bottom left, we get to scratch his card. Now, you can get Dennis or polychromes primarily from this, and it's just a nice little extra. And after that, we head on over to the coffee shop. In the coffee shop, we either buy the Tin Monster Special or Espresso. It doesn't really matter. The Espresso gives you double drop on one card, which is the equivalent of 8 energy. But this is free. This is free 80 energy you get every day, so always make sure to pick up your coffee. And by energy, I mean the battery charge, and kind of every activity in the game requires you to spend battery charge. Now, if you're maxed out on battery charge, so you've reached 240, you will accumulate battery charge as extra backup energy. Although you might not want to use this as a method to stockpile energy, because the rate at which you accumulate it is, I think it's about 1/3 or 1/4 of its initial value. So if you can, always spend your energy every day. And speaking of spending our energy every day, you do that primarily in the HIA or the Scott Outpost. In the HIA, you can talk to one of the lovely ladies by the counter. You can talk to Bertha to spend them on level up materials that you need to level up your W engines, that you need to level up your agents, that you need to accumulate their skills or to level up their skills. And Lila we talk to if we need a special type of material to drop by the expert challenges, and certain characters will require different kind of these. If we place the related agent tab, we can see that this agent drops items for Caesar and Bernice. And a mindset you should always have in Zenless Zone Zero is figuring out who is your main carry, who are we building currently, and build around that. Most teams have one main carry, and that main carry is gonna do 90% of the lifting. If you're just starting out now, the game now, chances are that you're pulling for Miyabi or have already pulled Miyabi, so do everything in your power to make Miyabi as strong as possible, as quick as possible. And if we go here into skills and click anywhere, we can see, and we can click down to the bottom left, we can see upgrade suggestions, and they suggest upgrading her core skill, her basic attack, and then her ultimate. So that is kind of your main focus. If you're building a Miyabi team, this applies to anybody that you're trying to build. Now, another excellent way to spend your energy is heading to the Scott Outpost. In here, we can do the routine cleanup. And this is where we farm the gear, or as they're called in Zenless, the disc sets. Now, every stage will have different kind of disc sets, and once again, we can click the related agent to see what agents want which disc sets. This is a very handy tool to kind of, point you in the right direction if you're starting out and everything feels kind of overwhelming. And if we press Q, we can get our knock up. And as you progress through the game, you will be able to like do hangout events with different agents by clicking the invite button down below. You can hang out with an agent to like build trust with them. This trust comes handy in a few different ways in the game. One of the ways is that they can promote your video store, so you can get, you know, the tactical ships from them. And another thing is that if you max out the friendship, you can also find certain buffs in the Holo Zero relating to that agent, and these buffs are quite powerful. And that kind of does it for like the daily activities every day. And if we press F2, we get up the Compendium, and then we can check on errands. And if like you want to make sure that you do the engagements every day, because these are kind of your daily quests. They're done pretty quickly, and we can also see that a lot of them point you in the right direction what you should be doing. One of them is scratch the card at the newsstand, one is, you know, open a video store, one is do one coffee. And a new addition to the game is the Bi-Weekly. This is kind of a bingo card, and you should be doing this every week because it gives you a nice little extra amount of resources. If we click on any of these squares, we can see what we need to do, and it's bingo, so we want to like get, you know, straight lines either diagonally or across, or, you know, whatever. So let's move on to some weekly activities. One weekly activity you always should do. 3 times every week you can challenge the Notorious Hunt by talking to Ophelia. These ones are your Shadow of War if you use the Honkai Star Rail, or your discounted bosses if you use to Genshin. And these ones are used to upgrade a character's core skills, and once again we can click related agent to see what materials correlate to each agent. So we can challenge these 3 times every week without spending a single energy, but if you still need the material, you can also continuously challenge the bosses, but that will cost you some energy. Another weekly thing you need to do is go into the Holo Zero, go into the Lost Void, and click your bounty missions. So every week you have a bunch of resources you can get from the Holo Zero, and these are usually kind of easy. You get them, like you max this out by just doing one simple run, and this is, you know, super easy, super convenient, and should always be done. Now, a little hidden thing that not maybe everybody knows is that you can actually continuously farm the ZZZ merits up to an extra of 900 every week. Once you reach the like internal cap of them, you will no longer be rewarded with them. But this is a very good way to like earn extra Dennis, because you will be struggling on Dennis. Believe me, you will have a lot in the beginning, but the higher you like start level, the more the poorer you will get. A bi-weekly thing you should also be doing is doing your critical Shiyu. Now, after you manage to clear all of the stable nodes, this blue one here, the red one, the critical node, will unlock. And if we see at the top right, time until end of operation, 12 days. Every 2 weeks this one resets, and it will give you 7 new stages, and S rank in these stages will give you a bunch of rewards. And the criteria for this is kinda easy, it's just clear it with 5 minutes remaining. And this is one of the harder modes in the game, although I do make a point of like clearing it with A ranks every rotation, just to like, you know, kind of prove that any character is valuable with the right investment, the right gear on them. And any material that you do get in the Holo Zero, you can be spending it by Casper at the logistics. In this shop, I would recommend buying everything that I bought, so basically stay away from the Bangboo system widgets and the W engine ships. Otherwise, you can buy everything. Now, the engine ships aren't really super useful. It can be useful if you're starting out, but I would say stay away and buy the other resources. And the Bangboo system widget, if you just do normal Holo Zero, you will get them anyway. I've upgraded a lot of Bangboos, and I have like over 1,000 of these ones like surplus. So don't waste your precious merits on them, instead buy Dennis. And with the association supplies, we use investigation merits. You get this from the Notorious Hunts, Deadly Assault, and Critical Shiyu. Same thing here, everything is kind of good to buy. So like buy whatever you feel like. The tuning calibrator can be a little bit of a hit and miss. It allows you to pick the main stat of one of your discs, although, you know, you have no guarantee that the substat are gonna be just trash. So if you want to make sure that you get some value out of it, you know, a hamster cage pass will always come in handy. This is what you need to level up a character's skills to max. Another bi-weekly event that will like rotate like zigzag with the critical Shiyu is the Deadly Assault. And this is a new addition in the 1.4, and in this mode it's a little bit special. Every rotation there will be 3 new bosses to challenge. Right now we have Sacrifice Bringer, we have Pompeii, and we have Marionette. And what is special with this mode is that any team members, including Bangboo, that you use on one boss cannot be used on any other boss. So to complete this, you kind of need like 3 built-out teams. And here it's not as much about time, it's more of accumulating enough points before the time runs out. And a full guide to this mode can be found in the description. Now let's talk about the gacha system. The gacha system in the Zenless is kind of simple. For the first time ever, we have 2 characters at the same time. Although once rerun starts happening, this is gonna be a more common occurrence, I am guessing. So these are kind of what you want to be spending your polychromes on. So these are characters that come out for a period of time, usually around 2 weeks, a little bit more. And once their banner, as we call them, are gone, that character will be gone from the game until they come back for the rerun. Characters don't usually get added into the standard banner, which is the stable channel. The stable channel has what we call the standard banner characters, and it's these 6. It's Grace, Rina, Kolida, Nekomata, Soldier, and Lycon. And out of these ones, 6 months into the game, only Rina is really usable. Lycon still has its uses, but most of these characters have been like far left behind in the dust by any event banner character that fits the same role as they are. Although, mind you, there isn't really any bad characters in Zenless, and every character can clear basically everything with enough investment. Just that some characters have to work harder than others. And once you pull 300 pulls on this banner, you will have the chance to pick one of these 6, and I would, in all cases, suggest that you pick Rina. So when we pull on an exclusive channel, like right now we have Meaty, there is a 0.6% chance that you will get an S-rank agent. So the chances are kind of low, although we do have a pity at 90. So if you haven't managed to get the character at 90, the game will, give you. The game will have pity on you, and it will give you an S-rank character. Now the hard pity is 90, but the soft pity starts at 75-ish. And ramps up for like every pull after that, so very, very rarely will you ever have to go past 80, 81, 82. And once you do pull an S-rank agent, there is a 50% chance that it's gonna be the actual event banner character that you want, and a 50% chance that it's gonna be someone from the stable channel. And if you get someone from the stable channel instead of the event banner character, that is called losing the 50-50. Now this has one silver lining, and it is that you can't lose 2 50-50s in a row. After you lose the 50-50, the next S-rank agent that you do pull is guaranteed to be the event banner character. Now every exclusive character also comes with their exclusive engine that is kind of tailor-made for that character, and in all cases for that character alone. And it is gonna be that character's best in slot engine. Now these banners are a little bit different. The hard pity isn't at 90, it is instead at 80, and the soft pity is also like moved down to 10. And when you do get an S-rank engine, there's a 75% chance that it's gonna be the engine that you want, and a 25% chance that it's gonna be one of the standard banner characters' W engine instead. And same rules applies here. If you lose the 75-25, the next one you're a guaranteed win. And there's one final little banner that we need to take a look at, and it is the Bangboo banner. Now a team in Zenless consists of 3 characters and 1 Bangboo. And the Bangboo banner is a little bit different. You have a 1% chance on every pull to pull a Bangboo. And if you do pull an S-rank Bangboo, it's always guaranteed to be the Bangboo that you've chosen. So on the Bangboo banner, we actually get to pick whatever Bangboo we want. And if we do get an S-rank, it is guaranteed to be that one, so there is no losing on this banner. And to pull on this banner, we use Boopons, and these are a resource that we cannot buy for real money. Instead, we earn them from various activities and events in the game. So how do we get these illustrious polychromes that we use to do the pullings? Well, there are a few ways, and some ways are better than others. The most value for your money is going to be the internet membership. This is something you buy for $4.99. It gives you 300 polychromes like right away, and then 2,700 over the course of 30 days every time you log in. So $5, 3,000 polychromes. This is like a very good investment. And a lot of like low spenders will settle for this one, and maybe the battle pass. And the battle pass is the new Eridu City Fund. So this one, you get access to the top row automatically. If you want the more illustrious bottom row, you have to pay $9.99, or you can also pay $19.99 to get some extra goodies. I usually don't buy the extra pass. I usually like settle for the $9.99 one. And a lot of like low to medium spenders will settle for the battle pass and the daily login, which sums it up to a nice-ish $15 a month, which is basically what your Netflix will cost you. For the people that have the big money pants on, there are some other options. You can go to the monochrome market and you can, buy these packs. And these packs, as you can probably tell, they give you more bonus the higher you spend. That's a little bit of incentivized, so you know, open those pants even more. And the biggest pack will net you 8,080. Although the first time you buy each pack, the bonus is actually like the same as the original amount. So the first time you buy the 999 pack, it will give you 6,480 plus 6,480. After you bought that, the bonus gets like reduced. This bonus resets every anniversary. If I'm to go buy any other horror games, I'm assuming it's gonna be the same in Zenless. So the first time you buy each pack, like every year, it's a lot more value. After that, the value like kind of drastically decreases. And to make it simple, the big pack nets you around 50 pools. Now, you also get a resource called Residual Signal whenever you get duplicate characters or characters that you've already maxed out. These are primarily used to buy encrypted master tapes. Now, these tapes are what we use to like pull on the event banner characters. You can also buy the master tapes, but never do that, always buy the encrypted master tapes, because we don't really want to be pulling on the standard banner characters. If you're severely lacking engines, you can also save up this resource, and instead of claiming 30 encrypted master tapes, you can save up and claim one of the 6 standard banner engines. And some of these are actually very, very good. Weapon Cradle, for example, is excellent if you have Rena, but you haven't managed to get their engine. And if you're lacking stun engines, both Hellfire Gears and the Restraint are actually really, really freaking decent. Same with the Fusion Compiler, it is a lot of anomaly characters, like second best in slot. And in the Fading Signal shop, we use a resource called the Fading Signal. Now you get these by doing any sort of like pulling, and it's not really tied into getting duplicates. In this shop, every month you will be able to purchase 5 encrypted master tapes and 5 master tapes. Now, feel free to buy these, and those are like your priority one. Always make sure that you have enough signals to buy those. After that, it's kind of up to you what you want to be buying in here, because everything is kind of a good deal. If you need advanced shock chips to level up an electric character, or you need free chips to level up Meaty, you know, go ahead and get those. The Bangboo banner also has its own little shop as well, where we buy for the Bangbucks, which is something you get when you pull on the Bangboo banner. Now here you can buy 5 boopons every month for like a discount price, which is quite good. And it is what I'd advise you to buy. Stay away from the Bangboo system widget or the cooling fluid. You can also save up to the Martian modified part, which will allow you to like star up your Bangboo as if you had gotten a duplicate of it. And speaking of duplicates, every character can actually like be leveled up. So if you get a duplicate of a character, you can increase their cinema. Now this will primarily happen with your standard banner characters, because you will lose 50/50s and you will get the character you already have. Or for the big spenders that, you know, try to aim to like real power up a character, they will get more cinemas for a character. Breeze, for example, I've gotten 2 of her Mindscapes, as you call them. And these ones unlock like additional power for your agents. Now, if you're looking to like power up a character that you recently procured, it is commonly advised to, instead of like trying to go for Cinema 1, maybe go for like their engine first, and then if you still want to keep going, then go for the Cinema, because it's easier to get an engine to slap on them rather than risking the 50/50. And for most characters, getting their engine is a big power boost than getting one of their cinemas. And now, I said in the beginning of the video that you can get around 20,000 polychromes in patch 1.4. Now, patch 1.4 is a little bit bigger and meatier than most of the patches, but I think the average on like a normal patch is around 15,000 polychromes. And your main source of these will be from the events. Now, a lot of them will be from the Critical Shiyu and the Deadly Assaults, but a lot of it is also going to be from the events. And as you can probably see, we have a bunch of them in the 1.4 update. And these ones, you can like click on them and you can see how long they're still here for. Now, both of these top ones, they're here for 15 days, but we have some that are ending in 8 days, 15, 1 day and 10 hours. And most of these events, once they're done, they just disappear. Some select ones, like Into the Pale Wasteland, that has Eridu Chronicles on it, this will stay, although there are some limited time rewards that can only be earned as long as the event is active. So always like be on top of these ones, like check which events you want to do. So always like stay on top of these ones and like, you know, keep a lookout at which events you need to get done before they go. Also, a little bit of like a small little source of polychromes and whatnot is doing the trials for every character once it's released, and you get more rewards for doing the S-rank characters trials. Now, if you're just starting out, you're probably like wondering which of all of these agents should I be building, so let's dive into that. So I just want to like drive the point home once again that every single character in the game is a good character with enough investment, just that some characters have to like work harder than others. We have 5 different types of characters. We have attackers, stunners, anomaly, support, and defense. 2 of these ones are like the damage classes, which is attacker and anomaly. And, you know, apparently it's not supposed to have favorites, but Hoyo definitely favors anomaly agents. Anomaly agents are the strongest carries in the entire game. If you come from Genshin, for example, anomaly agents are like your standard character. Meanwhile, attackers are kind of your physical attackers like Eula. Anomalies agents does as much damage and are not relied on like stun windows, and their reactions are like the main part of their damage. But their normal hits and EX specials kind of hit as hard as an attacker agents. So as of right now, attacker is kind of far behind anomaly, but we have an attacker agent coming up, which is Evelyn. So let's see if she can bring like attacker back up to the table. That being said, me personally, I do prefer the playstyle of attackers. I find them to be super fun. But an attacker agent usually has like a designated stunner agent that is made to like enable that attacker. Ellen, for example, she very much wants Lycon or Lighter. She can make use of the other ones, but these are definitely her 2 best ones. Meanwhile, anomaly agents quite usually just wants like another anomaly agent so that they can react with each other and cause disorder. And that brings me into the next one. There are 5 elements in the game. There is physical, fire, ice, electric, and ether. And an agent of like said anomaly or said attribute will inflict fire on an enemy if they are a fire agent. When you attack an enemy, you will like see a little fire icon kind of fill up. Once that meter is filled up, an enemy will become burning if we inflict them with fire, they become shocked if we inflict them with electric, they become frozen if we inflict them with enough ice. Now there's a special mechanic in the game where if 2 elements meet, so say that fire and ice, just like, you know, the book series, meet, say that you run Miyabi, which is an ice agent, and then you run Kulido or Lucy, which is fire agents. Once an enemy is burning and then gets inflicted by ice from Miyabi, an effect called disorder will happen. It will cancel out like the first thing that they're suffering from, but it will also do a big chunk of damage, and some anomaly agents like Miyabi are especially good at like doing disorders. Stun agents are, you know, good at stunning an enemy. A stunned enemy does not get to fight back, and they take a lot of increased damage. And the reason why attackers want stunner agents is because most of an attacker's skills like actually does increase damage to a stunned enemy. Meanwhile, the reactions from an anomaly agent does not benefit of the stunned enemy. And in some cases like Yendo, you actually don't want the enemy to be stunned because you want to be able to like do your perfect dodges. Support agents are, you know, supports. They provide certain buffs to the team. Rina, for example, she can pass down a 32% pen ratio to the entire team while her dolls are out. Lucy is able to give 600 attack to the entire team. Nicole is able to shred the defense of enemies and increase the ether damage done by your entire team, which is nice, but we're kind of severely lacking ether agents. Sokaku can give 1000 attack to like 1 character. And then we have defense, which is kind of like a jack of all trades. They do a decent amount of damage, they buff, they in some cases debuff, in some cases groups up enemies, and they do a decent amount of stun. They're kind of all roles kind of put into one. And so far the gimmick with them has been that each of these characters, they provide a shield, and that shield gives a certain effect. Ben's shield, for example, gives 18% crit rate, which, you know, is kind of nice. Seph's shield gives 100 anomaly proficiency, and which is nice because that's the only buff in the game that can actually do that. Caesar's shield gives 1000 attack to whichever character is on field at that moment, and she also does a bunch of debuffing and grouping up. Whatnot, she is a very, very strong unit. Now, a team in Zenless Zone Zero consists of 3 characters plus a Bangboo, so it's like 3 plus 1 little extra. And one very important thing that like puts a limitation on team building is that every single character has an additional ability that needs to be activated. For some characters, the additional ability is more important than others. And the little smiley face we can see in the top right actually shows you how many of these characters has their additional ability triggered. So we can see here that 2 out of 3 has their additional ability triggered, and it is Lucy and it is Caesar. Yanagi's additional ability is not triggered in his team. And if we take a little bit of a look at it, that is a bad thing. Yanagi's additional ability Gesu is very freaking important, so we kinda don't wanna head out into any battle without this one activated. And in order for this to be activated, when another character in your squad is an anomaly character or shares the same attribute. And mind you, almost every character has like a unique spin of this one. So this is it for Yanagi, anomaly character or the same attribute, and her attribute is electric. Quite often a character will have the same faction as a trigger, as is Lucy's case. Lucy wants a character from the same attribute or faction. Miyabi, which is the newest character, so if you're starting right now, chances are that you managed to get Miyabi. Miyabi requires a support character or a character from the same faction. So this team we have now doesn't really work, so we need to do some adjustments. Caesar is very flexible. She only requires a character that can do a defensive assist, which is every melee character in the game. So she is the most flexible character when it comes to her additional ability in the game currently. So if we want to run this team, we might consider slotting out Lucy for Rina instead, and now we can see that it's 3 smileys and everybody is happy. Although the Bangboos also have this feature, and if we press B, we can see what every Bangboo needs to be activated. Now having the Bangboo's additional ability activated is not as much of a big deal. You can basically this is of much less importance. And if you're just starting out, I would almost recommend going for the Resonable Bangboo, even though activating it is kind of impossible unless you're running a very specific team. But this additional effect is, so minor, and the utility that this Bangboo brings is, worth it anyway. So for example, with this team, I might consider not bringing Red Mockus, and instead I can bring Plugboo that requires 2 electric characters. And if I do that, everybody is happy. Although once again, having the Bangboo active is of much less importance. And in every team you have a main carry. In this team, for example, your main carry would be Yanagi, and she's gonna be doing 90%-ish of all the lifting and all of the damage happening. So what's important is that we build from the carry onwards. So if I want to make this team stronger, we do it by, improving the gear of Yanagi. And we do this by upgrading her different skills, her core skills, her basic attacks, etc. And if we press down in the bottom left, we can click upgrade suggestions, and the game will kind of tell you what to focus. But wait, there is more. They will also do this when it comes to your disk drives. So if we press bottom left again, recommend, the game will recommend you what to run on each disk. So this is disk 5, for example, and usually a character here wants whatever element that they are, like the damage bonus up to that, so electric damage bonus here, for example. And here we can see that 67% of all people are running that. Then we have pen ratio, which is a very good stat, especially if you stack it on top of each other. And important to note with the discs is that 1, 2, and 3, the main stats are kind of set in stone, but 4, 5, and 6 are all flexible, and they can have a bunch of different ones, although 4 is the only one that can have crit as a main stat, which is usually preferred by attackers, and it is also the only one that can have anomaly proficiency as a main stat, which is preferred by anomaly agents usually. And here we can see that 92% of all people are running anomaly proficiency as the main stat. And for disc number 6, this is the only one that can have anomaly mastery or impact as a stat. Impact is very important for stunners. Usually anomaly characters want anomaly mastery or attack percentage here. If we pop out and then pop the base stats, we can see that some stats are highlighted in yellow. In Yanagi's case, it is attack and it is anomaly proficiency. This kind of tells us that these are the stats that Yanagi needs. So the game kind of already tells you everything you need to know. For Rina, for example, pen ratio is her, one go-to stat, and that is the absolute best one. For Bernice, attack, anomaly proficiency, energy regen. For a stunner agent like Lycon, usually they kind of only care about impact. And then you build damage on the rest, but for Miyabi, you can see the attack, crit rate, and crit damage. Miyabi is unique in the way that she's kind of the only anomaly agent that wants to build for crit rate and crit damage. And another super handy little feature that got added recently, if we open the characters with C, then in the top left, we have special training plan. If we click on, let's take any agent, let's take Bernice, for example, and we click this one, the game will kind of tell you what you can work on to improve that character. Now my Bernice is kind of decked out, but let's see if it had any upgrade suggestion for Yanagi. It has some, it wants me to upgrade some of the skills, etc. And here we can see very plainly what things we should be going for the different discs. And speaking of discs, there is another place I want to show you. Now we farm most of our discs in the disc cleanup with Roland, but whenever we go farming for discs or whenever we do events, or do a lot of stuff in the game, we will also gain master copy resources. And we spend those in the Bardic Needle on the 7th street. On the 6th street. So if we pop into here, this is kind of your, what's it called in Honkai Star Rail? Your synthesizer, and Genshin also has a feature like this on the transmutation alchemy table. Here we can spend a resource called master copies to craft different gears. And now here's how this one works. When you start out the game, you will kind of get the blue one. These blue ones, they can't become like yellow rarity, I don't think. Which is like the best kind of disc set, and once you get the end game, once you're done with the story, that's what we want on every character. But we're gonna start out with blue, then purple, and then... So the way this works is we click track setting, and then we pick whatever disc we want. Now, which one you're going for here is gonna be very much dependent on what character you're trying to build. And remember, we always start with building our carry first, and we take care of the support or the stunner or whatever afterwards. So say that we want to power up Yanagi. Now, Yanagi's best set, even though it isn't perfect for her, is Chaos Jazz. So what we can do now is with that we can pick any one of these. Say that we need a good disc 6 on her because we don't have that. Then we can click on the 6th slot and then we can craft the discs. But as you will notice, the price for them actually doubles whenever we like do a select one. So say that you're just starting out and you just want, you know, as many gear pieces as humanly possible for, you know, as little resources as possible. Then it might be better to like craft without having one selected, because then you kind of get the discount of 50% off. But if you're specifically headhunting for like a certain one, this is the way to go. And on the advanced tuning, which is the best one, and here is always guaranteed to get like the highest rarity of discs, we can also use something called a tuning calibrator. Now, this tuning calibrator is a very rare resource in the game. We get them from the battle pass and some select events, and we also can get them from the logistics outside of the Scout outpost. Now, I would advise that you should like use these on disc 5, because as you can see, this one has like the biggest pool of stats to pull from. So say that you're hunting for ice damage bonus for Miyabi, for example, it's gonna be very hard like in the natural ways to procure this. So if we were going for one for Miyabi, I would switch to Miyabi's best set, which is Branch and Blade Song or potentially Polar Metal. But let's just go Branch and Blade Song. Then we can click orientation and we can select ice damage bonus. Now this will cost you one of your tuning calibrators, but it will guarantee that the main stat is the right one. Although it guarantees nothing about the substats, and I've had terrible luck with this. Most often than not, the substats are still trash, so it ends up, you know, being a bad discs. But farming for discs is very much RNG, and we all gotta like start, like we gotta build our way up. The main focus first is getting one with the right main stat, then we focus on good substats. And who knows, maybe luck is in your favor and you will get, you know, an absolutely goated set piece. And in the Bardic Needle, you can also dismantle any discs you don't want. So for example, if I click Quick Select, S rank and below, it will kind of target any disc that I haven't locked. So a very good way to like, whenever you farm discs or whenever you get discs in anyway, click on the disc to like see, is this a good disc or not? And if they are, lock them. If not, keep them unlocked so that you can dismantle them. And now, how to know what's a good disc? That's an entire big lengthy video on its own. But in general, you know, use a little bit of common sense. For example, Bernice, looking for attack, and proficiency and energy regen. And if we recommend, we filter out. And this is also a very neat feature. If you click this, it will filter out all the discs that are not of these two. Then you can see this disc I'm running on her has attack percentage and anomaly proficiency, which is, you know, very freaking neat. So this is a good disc, and some other ones that I've locked this one, for example, this has a potential to be really good. And now let's also talk about some discs at level 0 will have 3 stats. Some discs will have 4. A disc that has 3 stats, once you level it up to level 3, it will add on an extra stat. I'm just gonna do like this to show you. It added HP percentage, which, you know, isn't great. So this went from a potentially super good disc to, you know, kinda disc. But if we take this disc for example, that already has 4 at level 0, instead of like wasting one level to add in another stat, it will instead level up an existing stat. So in the best case scenario, you want a disc that has, you know, all of the stats that you're looking for already at level 0, and then that, you know, gives you a higher chance that all of the upgrades will jump into that stat. And now if you have a disc like this where one stat is kind of useless, like defense, chances are that most of the upgrades are gonna jump into that one, and going from experience from all of the horror games, that's probably gonna happen. But we gotta keep our chin up. And here in this screen we can also see what W engine we're using. For me, on Bernice, I'm running her Flame Maker Shaker, which is the W engine she came out on, which means that I pulled the engine on her, like on the banner when it was released. But not everybody's gonna do that, especially if you're a low spender. You should kind of stay away from W engine in that case. But so then if you get Bernice, you have to like figure out what agent. So then if you pull from Bernice, you have to like figure out what W engine will you use instead. A very popular one is the Electro Lip Gloss, which is a battle pass engine that you get if you buy the battle pass for at least $9.99. This is like universally good on all of the anomaly characters and like very widely used if you don't like have the means to pull for a set character's engine. And I put out guides for almost all of the characters where I kind of go over the best engine for like any character. So interested in that, find the guide in the description. Now I think that about sums it up, but here at the end I'm gonna leave like my very most important tips. 1. Make sure to take the time and enjoy the game. If you're just starting out, you might be feeling like, the FOMO of catching up, getting done with the stories, you can like get on with the events. And I would say do not skip the story. Now, Zenless, without any form of like connection to the characters or to the story, is just a very beautiful, like very well done animated, gacha game. But if you take the time to like get to know this character, it becomes like the masterpiece that all of us veterans kind of sees it as. Do not rush the game simply to like catch up, because once you're caught up, you will hit a wall anyway, and the story kind of does come to a stop. Although, however, if you do feel like you want to rush through everything, like just to get to the events, to get as much polychromes as possible, there are ways in the game to like view the story afterwards if you want to take it all in, and that's done in the video archives in the random play. So just know that the option is there, but I would say don't stress it. And all in all, the game is kinda like on the easier side, so don't feel like you need to like pull characters that YouTube doodles like me tell you are must pulls, like etc. Instead, go for the characters that you for some reason resonate with. It can be personality wise, meeting them in the story, just that you think that they look badass, you like the attitude, like let all of that come in first hand, and then where they rank up in the meta like come afterwards. And if it's one thing I've learned like interacting and making content for this wonderful community, is that everybody has their own favorites. Soldier 11, for example, it's a character that's overlooked by many, and a lot of people will kind of tell you not to build her, but the people that has built Soldier, like the Soldier's fans are like probably the most passionate fans in the entire fan base. I make a point of clearing the critical Shiyu every rotation with only A ranks, namely Corrin, which ranks very low in a lot of tier lists, but let me tell you, this little chainsaw mage, he's quite a freaking beast, and I absolutely love using her. And there are certain modes and stuff where you can basically try out most characters in the game, so like try them out beforehand and like try and find a character that you like. And when you're building up your team from scratch, maybe don't spread yourself too thin, because in the beginning you will feel like you have a lot of Dennis spread around. So say that you have 10 characters, you will be leveling them all simultaneously. I would say don't do that. Instead, focus on like your one main team, get them up to 60, which is the max level. Then focus on a second team. Once that is done, we can start like leveling up the other characters, because leveling up characters is expensive. And just before we head off, let me do one little final do not. There are 3 cute little Bangboos outside the 141 store. Now, a lot of people, me included, when I saw this, I'm like, oh, free stuff, or not free, but stuff. So I purchased these ones. Don't. Dennis will become like your bottleneck. And it's not gonna feel like it in the beginning, but boy, believe me, Dennis are gonna be a big problem later on in the game once you start making the jump from 50 to 60. Do not spend them here. The only thing you might want to buy from these ones are the energy transfer fluids to like level up your Bangboos. But that's about it, and that doesn't cost you Dennis. Alright peeps, I think that is it. I don't want this to go on for too long. This is actually a re-recording. The first one I did ended up being an hour, so I thought, let's see if we can, slim it down a bit. If you feel like I missed anything, or like you have any additional tips for your fellow community members, let's be an awesome bunch of peeps and help each other out. So if you have any additional tips for newcomers or beginners, please put them down in the comments below. And I hope that Zenless treats you absolutely amazing in 2025. If you have any form of like Zenless question, feel super free to pop it into the comments. Or if I'm live either here on YouTube or on Twitch, feel super free to pop in there no matter what I'm playing, and like, you know, ask me whatever question you have there. I would love to answer them for you. People, thanks so much for watching. Until next time, Hako out.